Common Sense Media activated.
This episode is dedicated to all the dads who are holding it down in the office and in the home. Let's go. You are now entering Dad Mode, a podcast with a dad's eye view. And we are your hosts, the Dad of Steel.
P. James.
And I'm your friendly neighborhood amazing dad, like always, Rich. What up, Pops?
What up, Dad?
What's going on, man?
Oh, just battling these allergies, man.
Oh,
It's out there doing that freaking yard work
yeah.
yesterday. I'm feeling it today, man.
Man, I know this.
What about yourself?
Man, I'm feeling okay. It's another day, another week. It's spring break, and the kids are, they're out of school, of course, but now they're just wanting to just not do anything. I'm like, lately, you guys are always taking off of school. Just a measly little week. But yeah, other than that, I'm blessed to have another episode that we can do together once again.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
It's good to be back, sir. It's good to be back. Good to be on it. And this episode, we're going to talk about work-life balance. And I think that's a good, trying to think of a good way to put it. I think it's time just right with spring break.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean,
your kids are at home looking at you if you're working from home or wherever they are, going, Dad, Mom, entertain me. I've got nothing to do on board. I want to do something on board.
I don't have that problem. So, my kids are at the age where, they can be, and they're mature enough to where they can be home and just not do anything reckless. And I mean, they don't really do anything reckless because they don't like to do anything. As far they just like to play video games. My son's into Fortnite and my daughter's into Roblox, and I mean, I hate to say it, but they just stay to themselves and don't do nothing. So, I mean, that's awesome just to be able to have that comfort that I can have when it comes to them being at home during this time. So, I can't wait. Yeah, of course we're moving. It's like I mentioned in the last episode or last previous episodes. We're getting this moving thing done.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to purge a lot of stuff out of this house, man. Didn't realize how much items we collected over the years here.
Man, you guys have been on a tear.
Yeah,
from what it sounds like.
Exactly. So I'm ready to get it ready to go. So, but yeah, I know you already mentioned about what we're going to be talking about. So we're talking about balancing life and family and how we're going to balance everything. Because we are dedicated dads, so we got to figure. We want to see how we, at least between our experiences, on balancing these things. And I know me and you've been playing a lot of some video games lately, HD2, and so we've been kind of like balancing those. We talked about that last episode, how to balance when it comes to being a gaming dad, and just now,
right?
It was just about life, like how we're going to balance work life. And I know you've been working a lot lately, and I've been working a lot also, but not as much as you. But being at home, there's a lot of work involved with that, trying to stay focused and especially having kids around. If you have kids around, you got your smaller, you got the smaller kid and taking them to certain areas. But yeah, it's going to be a good episode. I can't wait to dive in onto it. So, you want to get any gratitudes or anything like that?
Well, before we roll into that, I just wanted to add to what you were saying. And not only are we going to talk about, just work-life balance, but we're going to kind of explore it a little deeper. We're going to look at work-life balance as 3 separate words and then tie them together.
Yeah.
We'll look at the work. Then we'll look at life. Yes, work is a part of life, as is balance.
Yeah.
Then we'll explore the balance, the actual balance. And we'll look at it from a personal, anecdotal, I guess, perspective, but then we'll also look at what the experts say on work-life balance and how you may be able to achieve it.
Yeah.
So it's an important thing, especially as your children and work and your spouse's needs become apparent, and how life can just be demanding in general.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a hard knock life out there for everybody.
For us.
Exactly. It is crazy how that works. And yeah, we do need to balance it, and we don't want to have our family put in the background when they should be at the foreground. And
Absolutely.
as far as family goes. So yeah, just gotta balance it, man. Whatever we gotta do.
Yeah, my gratitude, you asked me that. My gratitude is for all of our listeners who have been very supportive and have given us feedback on the show, what they like to hear, what doesn't work for them. Please keep it coming. We usually do our call to action at the end of the show, but you can email us at dadmodepod@gmail.com. You can directly message either one of us through text, social media. We're at dadmodepod on all the things.
Yep.
So let us know. Keep it coming. We make this show. Of course, we like doing the show because we love talking with each other and all that. But we do the show for you because this is an outlet or a perspective, I think, that needs to be explored more in our current culture.
Yeah.
So this is a lot of fun.
We ain't going nowhere.
No, dad life never ends.
Never
Rich and
ends.
I have some plans, especially when he gets here. We have some plans for the future that we'll delve into months from now once there's some plumbing taken care of on the back end.
Yeah.
What about yourself, man?
Yeah, I mean, I just like, for me, I got a shout out. Of course, I'm put it on there for my Instagram, that my son just turned 14. He just had a birthday here a few days ago. And then, of course, I got my daughter.
Boo. Big Fort. Oh, it keeps going. It doesn't stop. I was trying to stop
Well, it's all good. Well, the good thing.
And I hit the wrong button on top of it.
No, it's all good. I do have two of them because my daughter's about to have a birthday soon. She's about to turn 11. So
crazy.
Hers is this weekend coming up. So so I got my two kids that are very, very close, and not close in age, but close in days and months of as far as when their birthdays are. So at least a good thing with us is we can kind of kill everything inside of that month of birthdays if we want to. It's like, oh yeah, you got shared birthdays. Yeah,
that deserves a little bit of applause, man. Happy 14th birthday to my nephew and 11th to my niece, right around the corner.
Oh yeah. Now the time ticks to where it's like when they're 18, get out of my house. I'm still no, I was joking. But yeah.
What you playing, son? What you playing?
Yeah.
Time to be a man.
Exactly.
Time to be a man.
It's time to be a man. Get a job. But yeah.
That's right. J-O-B.
Exactly. So now, so other than that, that's just my shout out to my kids. And of course, I always do shout out to everybody in my corner. Gotta always have that shout out.
Word.
So let's talk about this.
Let's go.
I guess the first thing, let's talk about work, like balancing work. What you got?
The work, you say?
Yeah.
The work.
Yeah, I think.
Well, work is work, Mr. Murray. No, I'll play. The work. So let's talk about life pre-pandemic, when everything was quote unquote normal.
Yeah.
What was your life like? What was your schedule? What was your regular routine? Now we're talking nearly, golly, 4 years. It's been 4 years,
I
hasn't it?
know, right? That's what I said.
No, it's
Yeah, almost 4 years.
Yes,
Well, what,
it's
2019
technically
is
been
when
4
it, well,
years.
not the
I
pandemic.
was thinking 2019,
Yeah.
but that was in China.
Yeah, that was in China or whatever. Yeah.
They had the Kung flu was a very bad deal over there, very bad deal.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it made its way to America
Mm-hmm.
and everywhere else in 2020. But yeah, so if you care to go back that far, you got 4 years.
Yeah.
Your son was a preteen.
Yeah.
Golly. Your
Yeah.
daughter was early grade school,
Yeah.
at second, third grade.
Yeah. So I think he was 9, maybe 10 during that time was when that happened.
Man.
So yeah, it was. And the thing is that we were talking about what my schedule was like. At first, before I was coming into the office every day, and just going in every day, and it became a repetitive thing. And now, as far as just going in 8 o'clock, taking the kids to school before then or wherever they go, maybe take the bus and then get off at 5 o'clock, and then it got that repeat cycle. So that was before, and then of course now during the pandemic, everything was shut down. However, whenever that, if you remember that, everything was shut down.
I do.
And so my job was what do they call it? Man, drawing a blank. A job where you had, like kind of like Walmart. Oh man, I'm gonna draw a blank. But anyway, so I
was like, I don't know. I can't help you with that one.
Yeah, man, I don't want to spend too much time trying to remember. I'll remember like after the episode for some reason. But yeah, basically, I was at we had to be in the office, and so
you're like essential personnel. Essential personnel.
Golly, we were. Yeah, thanks.
I was thinking that, but I wasn't 100%.
Yeah,
sure.
that's what it was. And so basically, being essential, I had to be at the office. But the only problem is we, I had the kids were they weren't in school, so somebody had to stay at home, and we worked from home. Me and my wife did. Her job was more lenient on working from home because of what she does, where mine isn't. I had to make up work from home, like make up reasons for me to stay at home, and that just didn't transpire to be the greatest thing in my job. So of course I had to get all that pretty much as far as just making it to where we are, and for my job to let me be able to do that. And at least
you needed the approval.
Yeah. And so for me, I am a family man first. So it was more of just, well, it's either I find something different or you guys are going to work with me. So they work with me, which I'm blessed to have. And they let me do whatever I was able to do in order to take care of my kids, because of the pandemic and being so close to my family. So yeah, other than that, just and then during the pandemic, I worked from home for at least a good 4 months, and then once everything started to die down, we as far as they were letting kids back into school, so we were able to just have to wear masks and all that stuff, and
right,
and so yeah, but at least a good thing in that I was able to be close to my family. When it comes, that's one thing I would say. If there was a blessing about the pandemic, that's the one thing. I don't know if anybody else feels the same way, but
absolutely.
Like I was able to be more close to my kids to see what they're doing, be close to my wife to see, to make sure that she's okay, and be close to my parents when they were here, or not be close to them because they live in a different city or a different area, but I was close to them, so just to make sure that everything is good compared to me just working 8 to 5, maybe overtime, and so yeah, that's just my life story when it comes to the the pre-pandemic. But the post-pandemic, it's kind of like the same like it was before me going in. The only difference is that my family has grown older, so things are going to be different. So my kids are more involved with certain things such as sports, just like your kids are, and compared to what they were pre-pandemic. And the wife is into a lot of other things too. So such as doing a lot of stuff for dad mode, doing those things. So, but a lot of those things now are, there's sort of similarities of what it was before. Now, after everything is like, I guess not COVID anymore for whatever reason. Everything is still COVID, but it ain't like everybody's out there wearing masks like everything like it was before. So, but yeah, that's just how it was for me. And I didn't like working remote just because you have the kids always around you. But I think if I were to work remote now, the kids are older, so they can tend to themselves. It all depends on who you are
Yes.
and how you deal with it. But
I would say my life pre-pandemic. Well, first of all, actually, before I dive into like that part of it, your statement about being closer together with your family, man, bang on. I've said that so many times. As much as the pandemic was a bummer as far as the isolation and things of that nature, I know it was very hard for a lot of people.
Yeah, brought you closer.
For yes, I mean obviously, and I know that's it was hard for a lot of people, right? Someone's probably listening, going, "Yeah, no crap, Sherlock."
Yeah.
Keep digging, Watson. But as tough as it was, having your family there, your kids, spending times that you normally don't get with them was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, because you know how it was. It's the daily hustle.
Yep.
Get up, get them ready, get them to school, go to work, pick them up.
Yep.
Come home, help with homework and or dinner, get them ready for bed, showers, cleaned up, get them to bed, try to maybe spend some time with the wife by watching a TV show or make some time for yourself, have the conversations you normally don't get to have or you can't get during the day because of the regular rinse and repeat. And the pandemic kind of broke that.
Yeah.
In a positive way. As tragic as the pandemic was, for obvious reasons, pulling that positive situation out of just being able to go, they're right there, they're right in the other room.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, it gives you a realization of what you have. Like, oh yeah, this is my family. This is what I was blessed with, and just to be able to have that in this area is really good.
You were considered essential personnel, right? Now, my job told everybody, stay your butts at home.
Yeah.
We went to the office to go get our stuff that we needed early on. Go get your laptop or your docking stations or whatever you need that's there, your personal belongings. And we ended up moving to a different team and a different building during the pandemic. But we were able to get all of our stuff. But I always knew at my previous employer, I was going back at some point. And then eventually, now we're starting to move into post-pandemic, right? I ended up going back to the office on a hybrid kind of thing, right? 2 days a week. 1 day a week, 2 days, 3. Now they're back 4 days a week for the most part across the board. So that's really the inverse of what it was when there was that trickle-in effect.
Yeah, exactly.
So, the work-life balance, though, the balance at that point was just trying to make sure the children were doing what they were supposed to do homework-wise, because we also had work to do. And my son was a toddler at that point.
Yeah.
So he went from being in a school where he's just learning to be around other kids to no kids at all. At that point, my daughters were already established. Even though it was a new school for them, because we moved house.
And that's what I was gonna say. You weren't
during
you
the
were just
during
moved
the pandemic. Yeah, in
Mm-hmm.
2020, we moved in July.
Mm-hmm.
But they knew how to be around people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was weird for them to leave their friends and go to a new school and not know anybody. And then on top of that, not actually be able to see them in person.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was an adjustment, but they got through it like champs, and they did a great job. They did a wonderful job. So now, talking about post-pandemic, where we are now, you're still in the office.
Yeah. Yep.
You have to have a darn good reason to not go into the office, right?
Yep. Exactly. And that's how
And
it is.
and now I started in October a new job that is 100% remote. First time I've ever done that in my life. Be 100% remote. It's been nice. It's cool. Do I miss going into the office? Sometimes, just because, there's the cooler talk and things of that nature. But,
Your cool talk is at the refrigerator.
right. Or, I take a little 10, 15-minute break and, send you a Instagram reel.
Yeah.
Hey, check this out.
Exactly.
Or a quick text message with the guys, and hey, I need to take my eyes off the screen for a minute. I'll go sit outside.
Yeah.
I'll go sit outside and just get the sun. Try to soak that up for 10 minutes. Now, in the office versus remote, our experience with just the work, our experiences are different. And that's kind of what we're highlighting here, right? Is you being in the office, me no longer being in the office. Do you feel that you could maybe have done your job remotely permanently, or do you feel that you need to be there because of the type of work that you do?
I needed to be there because of the type of work I do. So
Okay.
I couldn't, and it was just, I had gotten in that moment so inundated with so many phone calls, which that's fine, but it was just like something that a lot of things I couldn't control. And I couldn't control to where I would have had to rely on a phone call conversation compared to me being able to walk over next to whoever I need to talk to. So yeah, so it's like, okay, well, let me call my representative. Hey, representative, what's going on? So it's just that the interaction you don't have when you're in the office compared to remote. And for me, I wish I would have been able to. I mean, there's a lot of pros and cons, of course, how it goes, and with a lot,
There's always trade-offs.
There's always
right?
trade-offs, and I mean, in that moment of the pandemic, I wish I was able to work from home without being sort of criticized or chastised about it. To where it's like whenever So at that moment, a lot of my employees, they weren't able to work from home, but then they wish they did.
Okay.
And they're like, oh man, I want to be able to work from home. Like, well, you don't have the type of position I have. So, okay. And I would have just been able to, I would have loved to be able to work from home doing, to make sure I'm, cause I'm a family oriented man. I want to make sure that my family's taken care of where, if
absolutely.
I'm in, but if I'm in the office, that is time that you can't balance. I mean, that you can balance, but that's time that you have to, work around. Like, okay, now at least it's easier to know about work. It's easier to figure that out because you're going to be at work from 8 to 5 or whatever time frame that you work. That's always a given. Where when you work remote, depending on your pay scale and your hours, you may have to go and take care of something on the computer. So it's like a little bit of a break in the day, depending on your position you're at. Do you ever feel like that in your position? Like you have to take and you knee deep into something, and all of a sudden something happens, then you gotta go and fix it in your home. And then
I felt that more, and that's funny because in some of the research, one of the things that I saw, and this was an article from, let me go try to pull it up real quick because it's called betterup.com. And the article is called 6 Tips to Balance Family and Work Without Sacrificing Both.
Yeah.
And I'd taken a note of this because it said putting words to the problem. This is like for employees. So one of the things they say is when I'm at work, I'm worried about. When I'm with my family, I'm thinking about, right? the number one obstacle to my work-life balance is. Now, during the pandemic, the number one obstacle to my work-life balance was that both were happening at the same time.
Yeah.
So your boss is asking you to do X.
Yep.
Your children need you to do Y. Your wife needs you to do Z. And you're pulled in multiple directions.
Yep.
Because it's like, I know I need to get this task done because otherwise I can't keep the lights on if my performance slips,
Yeah.
right? I can't leave my spouse or my partner hanging because there's going to be turmoil in my marriage. Although my wife is pretty forgiving. That's not, I'm not going to say that's the exact situation, but that may be an individual situation.
That's part of balancing,
and then, of
too,
course,
yeah.
Right. Then, of course, there's the children aspect. The teachers who are remote are saying to your children, we need you to get your parents to check on this task or whatever because they're not there. Normally they would do it because they're in the classroom.
Yeah.
But they're not in the classroom. So you have to go and sign, like they have these things called an exit ticket where, you got to look at the kids' homework and make sure they did the thing that the teacher assigned them. And you're like, oh, yep, you completed your exit ticket, check it off.
Mm-hmm.
But normally the teacher would do that. And it was all online through Microsoft Teams. So sometimes it didn't work the way they wanted.
Yeah.
And you'd have to intervene on their behalf. Am I answering your question?
Yeah. You did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that's kind of the thing for me. I don't want to say I get distracted easily. I can get distracted easily. When I'm locked in, I'm locked in. I can ignore. Sometimes I miss this about The Office. When I needed to like write a script or really hone in on something, the actual noise going on around me made me focus harder because I wanted to ignore it to focus on the task.
Yeah.
So I would blow it away.
That's true.
And there could be conversations happening all around me. And I'm like, nope, I'm laser focused right here. Shut up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And when you're at home, it's quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Every once in a while, you get the guy mowing the lawn outside or someone doing a blower. You might hear some dogs barking. There's construction going on not too far from my house. You might hear the occasional.
Yeah.
But it's not like being in that environment where things are happening all around you.
Mm-hmm.
So I find when I'm at home, and this is kind of sliding into life, I find when I'm at home, when I take my breaks, instead of going and talking to Paul at the cooler or in the break room, I might go throw something in the laundry or throw something in a wash, pull clothes out of the dryer, wash a few dishes. If I got 20 minutes, if I really need to stay away, I'll run out back and pick up some dog poop or something like that. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the things I'll do.
So I guess this question, and I don't know and maybe I asked it, but maybe I didn't. Would you prefer to work in the office or work at home? Like, what would you like do? As far as this, which one? Like, if you were to choose right now, which one would you do?
I like working from home now. And you know me, I'm a social guy. I'm a people person, but I'm at a point in my life where my friends and all that stuff is established.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not one of those things where I feel like I'm missing out on the social aspect of being 22, 25, 30.
Yeah.
And trying to, because it ends up, inevitably it happens. You make friends with people you work with.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's inevitable.
That's true.
It's just going to happen.
Yeah.
For most people. Well, not everyone, but for most people, or a lot of, I won't even say most, a lot of people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
We'll have that experience. And so I'm at a point now where it's like, I mean, I still am cool with the people. I love my team. My new team is great, but I'm not at a point where I need to do that. To me, the sweet spot is working remote with the option to go into the office as needed.
Yeah. I mean, that's always a sweet spot. Yeah.
Where I am, they have locations in multiple areas around me. So if for some reason I lost internet connection or something weird would happen, I literally could take my laptop, get up, and go to one of their locations and do my thing. But I don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
I like the office. I like the office atmosphere. Just because I do have, of course I have friends and acquaintances and things like that, but just there's some days there's some days and there's some times I'm gonna get into this, is that you want to be away from the home. Like sometimes the home can be a little bit chaotic, or it can be a little bit different.
It can be distracting.
It can be distracting. So even if you're there alone, I mean, if you're there alone and the kids are actually in daycare, but then you work from home, there could be some distractions like video games that are in front of your computer right now, or there ain't nobody watching you. Where when you're in the office, at least for me, I like to be able to interact with people face to face and be, and talk to them, shake their hand, or, just whatever in the office. So that's just what I like to do. Now, hopefully in the future, I can be able to do the hybrid thing, just because I want to be able to balance, as far as, okay, I want to go to my son's basketball game or my daughter's recital or whatever. I can be able to say, okay, I'll cut work from X amount of time so I can go do this in the middle of the day, and then I can come back and finish up at home or wherever, or go back to the office, do a little break in that. So that's just me.
And not to make this a love letter about working remotely. I found for me now, it took a while, and I say a while even before my current job. I adjusted to it during the pandemic, and then when I had to go into the office, it was a little bit weird. And I liked being in the office, but I started to resent the office because I didn't like traffic. I don't like driving.
Oh man,
during the morning, I don't like driving in the morning anymore. I don't like driving in the afternoon.
That's a good trade-off though. When you work from home, when you ain't got to worry about gas. And
my wife and I were just talking about it. I was saying, hey, because my son starts kindergarten this fall.
That's crazy.
Our setup is like this. I take him to his daycare in one direction. She takes him to school in the other. Now I'm like, hey, you got it all. And she's like, no, we can split that. I thought I was out of the driving in the morning game.
Nope. You ain't about to put this all on me. We're gonna split this.
Yeah. She just looked at me like, "Nice try, Slick."
He's like, "Oh, you gonna talk about balance? You're gonna balance taking these kids from." So, yeah. So exactly.
Yeah, man. Yeah, she just looked at me like, "Nah, Jack, that ain't happening."
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't like driving. You waste so much time in traffic. I don't like the health part of it because I tend to get tempted by other things outside the home. Ooh, that's a Wendy's. I don't eat Wendy's like that, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ooh, this place. Ooh, that place. No, it's nice to see these restaurants, but where I live, there aren't any like super great options that are close to my house.
You gotta go
and
like
the
4
stuff
miles,
that I really
5
like
miles to go to a
Whataburger. And they just built the Sonic. I'm not a big, or they didn't just build it. Excuse me. They have a Sonic and they just built the Dunkin' Donuts that has the Little Caesars in the back. Blech. I don't like either. I'm not a big fan of either one of those anymore like that. I can do Dunkin' Donuts, but I really don't like Little Caesars.
Eric doesn't mean it, babe. He doesn't mean it. I know she loves Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh yeah. No, I'm good on that. They don't hit like they used to. Man. But those are like my absolute closest options, and they're literally behind my house.
Yeah,
literally behind the house. Nah, I'm good. Like I don't need that. And so I eat better. I don't go to a gym. I've had a home gym since
you moved there.
No, I've had a home gym since like 2008.
Oh, you're talking about just in general, whatever house you go to.
Weights,
yeah. Okay.
Well, yeah. Right. And I only bought weights to supplement the days I didn't want to go to the gym. Now it's essential. It's beautiful. So like I could work, take my lunch break, hit the weights, take a quick shower, or if I didn't get like super funky, in my opinion, come up, do my job, and then shower before I go pick my son up or when I get home from picking him up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice to have that flexibility. I mentioned doing chores when I need to take a quick stretch. Those things are beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of that balance, that life balance. Now we start talking about family and all that. We look at these things that are outside of work. Now, our jobs can be more demanding. They can say, hey, 40 hours is kind of the starting point
Yeah.
at a minimum, obviously,
Mhm.
right? But then you've got certain jobs where it's normal to work 50, 60 plus hours. Our boy Trey, shout out to Trey on WFS, when he used to work in the restaurant industry, it was normal for that dude to work 50 to 60 hours, like nothing.
Yeah.
That was part of him being a GM.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have those days? Do you have that balance or that schedule that is where sometimes, because I know you're a manager, where you're putting in those long days?
Yeah, there was a time and point where I was putting in long hours and just it was annoying because of the reasoning why you're putting those long hours compared to what you expect and what you're wanting. So if you are putting in long hours because of things that are not in your control, then that's annoying. When you're putting in those long hours because it's something self-inflicted, of course that's annoying, but it's something that you did to yourself because you're not balancing what you need to get done, prioritizing what you need to get done compared to what's supposed to be done. And I just, man, like it's one of those things where that's what you at least should understand about being a manager is that you are going to have to work a portion of a day, 45, I would say 9 hours a day, 10 hours a day, because that's that's what you got to do. And
Just to get the
just
job
get the
done.
job done so that you don't get in trouble and you don't get in trouble, and you make it to where if you don't do it, then you're not putting your family first, because if you're just going to be like, oh, my 8 hours is done and then go home and you go to work the next day and you keep pushing, then your boss is going to be on you. Hey, why are you just working 8 hours a day when you know there's more to be done? It's like, well, because I don't want to work or, whatever the reason is. So yeah, it's just,
Yeah.
yeah. And I like to have as far as like salary sort of position, like I'm salary, of course, and there are those times, it's those moments where you are hoping you weren't, but then when you see sort of like employees that are hourly and you're like looking at, like I'm in the building and I'm looking at, employees that have been working for 10 or 12 hours, and yeah, they're getting paid for it. But then I think the annoying part is when I was hourly before, and I don't know how it is, or maybe I do, when you work like 100 hours a week and anything after 100 hours, Uncle Sam just keep breaking it in. Like, hey, can you keep working, keep working. I'm like, man, like, I feel like I'm working backwards and
Tax them.
yeah. And it's just so annoying to where it's like, well, you know what? I'm not going to work more than 100 hours. I'm going to work like just enough to where the happy medium to get to where I get my overtime, but I also get the time of being able to still make good money. Yeah. And
enough to get that extra cash flow, but not enough to where you're giving it back.
yeah, exactly. And
I see you.
yeah. And it's just one of those things where I work out, I work both types of jobs, just like you have, where, I remember back in the day when me and, of course we used to work at the BX a long time ago and working hours.
Yes,
And it was
sir.
like, that was
Shout out to AFI.
APs, and so that was just annoying of trying to, at least at least on that time we didn't have kids, so we didn't have to worry about balancing anything, but time as far as what time we want. But Yeah, it's crazy how that works. It's crazy how it works and now compared to back then. Like just looking back at it now.
You know, I think about those times, and I was dumb because they would even give you that choice where you had to work a minimum of 6 hours, and you could leave out, you could leave early. Some days, every once in a while, I'd take off at about 6 hours, maybe 6.5 or 7. Just giving them money.
Yeah.
What's another hour?
Yeah.
Leaving after 7 hours? Come on, man.
Mm-hmm.
Just giving them money back.
Yep.
Saving them, giving them a discount.
Yep. And so
do you find yourself having to be a little more assertive in what you need? And when I say assertive, just like, hey, I'm stopping right here. This is what I need from a work perspective. And this is going on both sides of the spectrum, communicating with your family and saying, hey, Dad's going to have to work 45 hours this week, or excuse me, you don't even know how many hours sometimes you're going to have to work. Maybe say to the wife, look, today's a day where I'm going to have to put in 10. Or does it kind of just happen?
It just happens.
Or you tell work, hey, look, guys, I know we got this deadline, but I've got this thing that my family needs. My wife this, my kids that, my parents, sister, whomever. I got to function, the church, whatever the case may be. I've got to cut it no more than 8, no more than 9.
Yeah. No, I've done that quite a bit. Of course, because there are times where I put my family first in that moment because I put just because work is gonna be there, but of course you got to make sure you take care of your job. But I know for those type of things, like when your family has a function, or as far as your kids have an event to do that you are involved with, then that's when we, at least for me, have to understand, okay, let's plan this out. Okay, so you have an event this day. So now I just know that I can gear myself ready for that certain event. Now, during that day of the event, and if something comes up to where it's like, hey, well, you gotta hurry and get this. It's like that for me. It's like, okay, well, you guys knew I had this event coming up, and now you have this come. I can't. I gotta do it, man. Like I can't. I guess I guess it's a situation where it just depends. Now I'm gonna say that just because it depends on where you work at. Like you can't just like there may be times where you can't just drop the job just to go to said event because of the type of work you do. Like if you are law enforcement, just throwing an example, like you can't just sit there, stop a crime and be like, oh, I guess I can't stop this crime because I got to go to my son's basketball game. Yeah, because that's what you signed up for. You signed up to be a firefighter. You can't stop putting out a fire because you have to be somewhere at 2:00 for your daughter's.
I'll do you one better. It's kind of like, let's say the military, with law enforcement, you could, I think you could easily quit the force, right? So you know what? I ain't doing this police stuff anymore.
Yeah.
The government owns you.
Yeah.
So you can't just turn around and say, you know what? Y'all fighting that war over there. I ain't about that. Like I'm good. Yeah. I don't, hey, you know what? You guys got it. The government's going to go, cool. Yeah.
About that.
It's jail time.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. But I just, I try to prioritize it to where if I'm working during that event, then everybody in my party that is involved with me needing to get out early, they know about it. It's like, okay, well, I need you to take care of this, or I'll delegate it to said individuals. Okay, well, I didn't get this done, so I need you to do this if you and then if not, then I'll take care of it the next day, or depending on where it is. So, but yeah, what about you?
Well, I was actually going to say to our listeners, if you haven't noticed by now in the program, we're well into the balanced life and the life part of work-life balance. And so now we're talking about how to make time and establish those boundaries and to allow life to happen. So you mentioned kids, events, right? Making time for that. I think personally it takes careful coordination, careful planning, communication. I mean, make a to-do list. So I am a whiteboard evangelist. I've got 2 whiteboards. Shout out to Susan that I used to work with, the one from Alabama. I have 2 very, very cool Susans I've worked with in my life, but I got to give shout out to the one from Alabama because when I worked during the pandemic, she left 2 whiteboards, 2 mini whiteboards that I've been using since 2018, 19. They're at home with me now. And I have one for my work task and I have one for personal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it be chasm or something important that the wife and kids need, I make to-do list. I'll text with my wife, hey, what about this thing? I'll put something on the calendar. We internally at Chasm, we use Tascade. That's how we build the shows for Dad Mode. So I'll use Tascade. I just started telling you guys, I told Trey too, hey man, you have admin rights to our space. Make a little space that's for you. Lock it down that where only you can see it and put your task in there so you stay more organized. Use Apple Notes, whatever it is. But you got to make those changes at not just at work, but in your personal life to help you achieve that balance.
Yeah.
Now we're moving slowly in the balance, but I want to, for just another couple minutes, focus on quality time with your spouse.
Yeah. That's important.
We have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's very important. And if you're a single dad, then make quality time for yourself and whatever it is you love. Or if you're just dating, it doesn't even have to be your spouse, your significant other. But if you don't have a significant other, make time for you. If it's your, going for walks, exercise, your favorite show, listening to music, reaching out to your support system. And your support system can be friends and family, people that you work with. There's somebody, you've heard the concept of a work wife or a work husband, right? Or even a work dad, someone that you've got that you can confide in, or a group of people that you can confide in, someone that can help you out, especially if you're single, because then a single parent, that is, because then it's most certainly going to take a village to achieve certain things that you need from a physical a mental aspect. Sometimes physical.
Yeah.
So I just really wanted to touch on that because without the women in our lives, we wouldn't be fathers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I agree 100%.
When you share a life, you share this life with your spouse. They need that quality time too. And I think going back to the communication part, it's important for us to ask them, hey, how are you doing? How are you feeling? Are you getting what you need right now?
Yeah.
Do you have the space? Are you overwhelmed?
Yep.
Because if you have 2 working parents, I think the stress kind of triples because they have the demands of the office. We have the demands of the office. And then we're also, a lot of us, and a lot of us aren't, but a lot of us, I think you and I, in our marriages, we're still kind of trying to fulfill some of the more traditional roles. We're a little old school like that in that sense, where we're still trying to fill those traditional parental mom and dad roles. And when you have 2 working parents, it's a little tougher to do that.
Yeah. And that's
if you have now that doesn't mean that homemakers have it easy, because that's not true. A homemaker's got their own fair share, and I'm not picking a gender. That could be a husband, or a wife.
Mm-hmm.
But a homemaker also has responsibilities and things that they have to deal with on the home front. Just because they're at home, that doesn't mean that they're not doing anything.
Yeah. And yeah, me and my wife both work the same time. Like we both work at the same exact time. Well, not the same exact time, but during the time of day from 7 to 6 or whatever, we're both working during those hours. And we are after work, we have to, that's when the balancing starts. So after work, we need to take care of the kids and take care of the family to make sure that, okay, make sure my son is doing good in school, make sure my daughter's doing good in school. And then, of course, if you do finances or whatever, anything underneath the sun, take care of business first. Take care of business first when it comes to your quality time, or before you get to quality time. And that's where the balancing comes in, or that's where it needs to. That's just what needs to happen. I know for me and my wife, we just, there's certain things that we do that, maybe we may not have, we may want to separate ourselves because we want to have some downtime to ourselves. You got to understand your spouse too. I know we've talked about this so many times in different episodes, understanding your spouse on what they need. So if your wife had a hard day at work, does she want to vent it out to you, or does she want to just be done with the world for like a good half hour to 45 minutes or an hour? So just talk, just figure it out, or context clues. If she looks at you,
and I wouldn't worry about repeating that. That's going to be a reoccurring theme because, especially for guys who are listening who are married, it's just a fact.
Yeah.
And there are various shades of working with your life partner.
Yeah.
For some reason, I just like to say that with an accent. For some reason, I don't know.
I don't
know. Now, personal. Love yourself. Make time for your hobbies. The me time. Guys, this is important. This is important. And don't, in my opinion, don't feel bad. Don't be unapologetic about doing the things that you need to do to allow yourself the space or the ability to recharge your batteries, be yourself, and not lose yourself in the stress and the demands. Life is hard as it is.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah.
And it gets exponentially harder with the demands you have at work, obviously. The demands of the home. I look at a young man like Trey who's adding another child to his home. You and I remember those times.
Yeah.
That adds a layer of complexity to things.
Yep.
And I feel like we're picking on him this episode because I've mentioned his name, I think 3 times. But that's just because he kind of fits, he checks a lot of these boxes that we've discussed this far. But I would also say allow others to help you.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, let them help you, because that's something that a lot of people don't like to do. Like, they think they can take on the world by themselves, but guess what? You can't just take on the world by yourself. You're gonna need some help. You're gonna need some support from anyone that's willing to give it to you. Yeah, if they're willing to give it to you, then take it if you want to. I mean, if you're not that type of person that don't like taking support, taking whatever, do you. But
every once in a while, my in-laws will just say, "Hey, we're gonna take the kids for a weekend or one night. One night." You don't even realize sometimes you need it. And there's times where they do that, or my sister-in-laws will do that. They'll take the kids where we think, "Oh man, girl, we're gonna go out. We're gonna do this and blah blah blah." Man, we might go out to dinner for sure. Come home, fall asleep. Yeah, just sleep in.
Yeah,
just catch up on sleep.
Yeah, you don't know how,
because you go through the daily. Yeah, man, you go through the daily shuffle.
Yeah,
you just go through it and you get caught up in it, man. You caught up in the routine, and now speaking of routine, make sure you have one, not a chaotic routine. I'm a creature of habit. I'm not 100% sure about you. I think you kind of are too, but I like to have things mostly set a certain way. Now, I will say over these last couple weeks, because HD2 has been messing up my sleep.
Sure, who are you telling?
My schedule has been a little wonky. I've been sleeping in later than I normally do, but that's only like a half hour. But develop a routine. Hey, for the most part, things are set this way, and it doesn't even have to be like that rigid to where nothing can change and it'll throw you off. Because when you're that rigid, you're gonna, in my opinion, you're gonna set yourself up for failure. But just basic stuff.
Yeah.
And even at work, at home, for yourself, you can your routine doesn't have to be a whole mapped out day. This is what I do when I'm at work. This is what I do when I'm at home.
Yeah. I think the routine part though, I understand what you're saying, but the routine, it all depends. Like a routine I would say is, when it comes to balancing, is make a routine of what you're going to, as far as what you're going to do. I guess the better way to explain it is not having the same thing over and over again. Like, you go to work, you make, there are some times that you're gonna have to switch it up a little bit. I guess, if that makes sense. Like,
Of course.
you don't want to have like all right, at 8:00 I do this, and then at 10:00 I do this. You know what I mean? Like, I think
That's why I was saying about being the rigid.
Yeah.
My biggest thing is about consistency.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying you have to eat dinner at 7:00 every night.
Yeah.
But there's a window when you should and shouldn't be eating.
Mm-hmm.
There's a window when you should have certain things done.
Yeah.
Or roughly. Hey, I roughly go to bed. I aim to go to bed like every night. I try to go to bed by 10:30.
Yeah.
That's my goal.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't hit that goal in about a month.
I wonder why.
But before that, I
HD2.
consistently would go to bed somewhere between like 10:30 and 11:15.
Mm-hmm.
My goal is to at least be in the room or approaching the room at 10:30.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't get in there until 11, and that's fine. But the routine is like, at a bare minimum, I have to have these things done.
Yeah, I agree.
I get up. I'll give you a quick thing about the morning. I'll get up. The first thing I do, I drink water. The first thing I do is I drink water, and then I might have lemon water. No honey, just lemon water. And then I go and I get my son up. I start to get him ready while he's eating. Then I continue to like go get dressed and brush my teeth and things like that, right? These are just approximate things. And then I try not to have coffee before 9:00, because I've read and listened to studies by Andrew Huberman and all these other neuro guys where they say, you don't want to have caffeine for at least an hour. So I try to shoot for like 2 hours before I get some caffeine in my system. And then I get going. Let your brain clear all that stuff out.
Hey,
right?
know that.
So yeah. So I don't drink caffeine like right away in the morning at all. I used to, but not at all. It's like usually like 2 hours, sometimes 3 until I have caffeine. But anyway, so those are just real minimal things that I'll do to kind of, that's part of the routine. When I'm at work, when I'm ready to go into work mode and I come into my room, I know that I usually start somewhere between 7:45 and 8:30.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends on the traffic.
Yep.
And what kind of sleep I got the night before. And then I am a creature of habit. I line my windows up a certain way. I like to have my workflow. I get stuff going. I take a breather. I'll listen to an album or a podcast to get myself ready to go. And I jump straight into work.
Yep.
And I get moving, So those are kind of some of the things that I personally do. And I'm saying for our listeners, find whatever it is, that routine that helps you just kind of be consistent, whatever that consistency thing is, because when you're consistent, it's easy to put all the other things in life into your pipeline.
Yeah.
Okay, this is that thing.
Exactly.
This is that thing. This is this thing. It doesn't have to be an exact science, but at least you're kind of roughly where you need to be, so everything kind of just synergizes.
Yeah, I agree.
And now we're well into balance. We're not going to announce all the segments, but hey, we're well into balance. Set up boundaries between work and your family. My kids know. I tell my son. So I talk to my son when I go to pick him up because my schedule consists of leaving to get him so he's not stuck at daycare all day. I leave and get him with like another hour or two left in my day for work. And I tell him, hey, when dad gets home, I got to finish off some work, but then we can do this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I'll flip that around because I know that he really wants to do whatever it is he wants to do with me or the kids or my wife early. So I'll say, okay, cool. I'm going to play Fortnite with you now. I'm going to color with you. I'm going to do X with you now. But no, in the evening, I have to go back to work. And sometimes it's just, all right, you know what? I'll wait till they go to bed. I'll put in another hour or two and then I'll relax.
Yeah.
So that's kind of those boundaries. And that's kind of, I think, one thing that I haven't seen in some of the stuff that we've looked up for references. The closest thing I've seen is in this article from Lifehack, not Lifehacker, just Lifehack.
Yeah.
But number 10 on the list is accept that imbalance is sometimes unavoidable. I think that's kind of the closest to it. You know that at some point you're going to have to go back and finish this thing off.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to spend a little bit more hours in the day than you want to getting stuff done. But that's what the job demands. Luckily, and I don't know how it is for you, Rich, I'll let you speak on that. But luckily for me, I like the people I work with. I like what I'm doing. So I want to make sure that I make them whole and finish off my tasks. Sometimes it doesn't even feel like work. I feel like I get to play and have fun.
Yeah.
And I don't mean play like goof off. It's just we're into some really cool stuff. And so it energizes me.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to remember to turn it off because as much as those people there need me, the people that are in this house need me even more.
Yeah. And also, the one thing I will mention is insert yourself into your family. And what I mean by that is talk to them. Don't just, if they're not talking to you, I'm not going to talk to them. Like physically go talk to them and see what they're doing either in school or at work, just so that you can understand that, hey, I'm here for you. I love you. I want to be there for you. Don't be, I'm going to tell you my 2 cents, but I want you to rely on me, and I want you to trust me in anything that you can tell me and talk to me about. Yeah. So just how I feel.
You're trying to be like dependable, basically, from what it sounds like.
Yeah, and you want it to be dependable. We're balancing between your job too. Like, hey, I want, like just like you mentioned, I got a job that I gotta do for them, but then I'm gonna take care of you once I'm done with them. And then my job, I got my kid I gotta take care of, and then I'm gonna come back and take care of my job. So just make sure that you don't mess that up. You don't want to just say, hey, you don't want to just say, man, forget you job. I'm gonna go take my kid. Well, you ain't got no job, and then that ain't you being a good dad, because then you done got fired. So that's how
what happened was.
And like, man, then your wife is like, why'd you get fired? Because I want to be a homo. That's not what I did. So yeah,
like that was not what I was trying to tell you.
Yeah, and
now we're screwed.
And the amazing thing is a lot of these articles that we have read, they are all talking a lot about the same thing. Like it's not like totally different opinions. They're all like basics, or they're all about the same. They're all kind of like the same, one the same. So like counting,
small tweaks to
yeah,
like,
exactly, certain
wording, but yeah,
wordings,
you're right.
yeah, exactly,
General idea. Yeah, you're right.
yeah,
Absolutely,
which is
man.
good, and it's easy just to look up, or even through a book. Just they're all going to talk about. There may be some things that you ain't never seen, that you ain't never heard, or you were just like, oh, hey, this is something I didn't think about. Do some research, like I always say. Do your research to make sure that you are well prepared, well equipped.
I'm gonna say one last thing. Learn how to say no.
Yeah, I read that too.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
I
Like I
mean,
was just about to say that.
and that I didn't even read that one. That was like, well, I thought about that before I read it. I technically, I guess I did read it. I saw it as a list on one of our sources, but I was already thinking that. It took me a while to learn how to do that, because some people like to aim to please. I aim to please to a degree.
Mhm.
I've gotten a lot better at being like, nah.
Yeah.
One of my goals, and I think I mentioned it, I don't know if I mentioned it here, WFS, maybe both, but one of my goals was to lighten my load for this year, because I took on too much. Between this stuff and the kids stuff, and then all these other things that I want to do, there's only so many hours in the day. And I forgot where I read or heard it, but they were saying the reason why you feel like you have no it's Daily Dad. Shout out to Daily Dad. I think one of the things he mentioned was like, you feel like you have no time because you fill your day up with a bunch of stuff. It's like, just learn to say, nah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I don't have to.
Yeah.
I'm not going to.
Mhm.
What is the value in doing this?
Yeah.
I'm stressing myself out. And this goes well beyond parenthood. This is just, I think, essential key to life in general. You've got to know when to cut it off, man.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's something that you
Just stop.
Yep.
Just stop.
Yep. Just
say, I can't. I'm sorry.
no means no.
I'd like to. Yeah, I'd like to, but this is just not beneficial in the long term for me, physically and or mentally, or vice versa. And it's not that you're trying to be rude and you don't want to help people. It's just, you never want to bite off more than you can chew and stress yourself out.
What about if your job tells you something that you have to do? Like, what if you're pinned in that situation to where you have to do this, or else something's going to happen to you?
I don't think I've never been put in that situation, but I will say, depending on what the ask is, you have a choice to say no. And I say that not like in the sense where you want to be defiant, but it's like, hey, so here's a better way to word this, because I'm kind of trying to formulate words here. We get put in these situations as employees where we're given a lot of tasks and responsibilities. And you get put in a situation where it's, this is important. Oh, this is priority. Well, that's priority. And this is important. And my philosophy has always been, if everything's important, then nothing's important.
Yeah, that's true.
But if everything truly is important, then I need my leadership to tell me what's priority first. Okay, of all the things that are priority, what is priority of the priority?
Yes.
And let them know. Instead of maybe no, saying no is the wrong way to do it, because that might get you fired. But you have to be honest and say, hey, this is what's on my plate. It's not even that you're saying I can't do it.
Yeah.
You're just saying, okay, cool. You want me to do A, right? But I've got B and C and D
Yeah.
and X and 1 and 2 and 3 and semicolon.
Mm-hmm.
I've got all these other things that are on my plate.
Yeah.
And I'm barely doing them well because I already have a lot. So if this is the thing that you want me to do, then I'm going to need you to tell these other people who have dependencies on the things I've been working on, stop. They're doing this job for me.
Yeah.
Give me that top cover. I always say top cover.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And then let them decide which priority. You put the onus on them. Now, if your question is more like do it or be fired, that's not a good situation to be in. That's an ultimatum, and nobody likes ultimatums.
Exactly.
Or rarely do people like ultimatums. And to me, I feel like without any more information on an ask like that, my opinion is you were probably already in trouble. And your boss is most likely giving you an impossible choice.
Yeah.
Or they're fed, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's one of those things where it's like, I'm going to give him the choice. And if he makes the right choice or she makes the right choice, which is to do the thing, let's see if they actually are able to complete it.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. No.
Or, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's not that thing. I'm a minor pessimist with stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I've had experience in the past where, you know, certain leaders wouldn't put people in the best position to perform at their best. And so I don't like situations like that.
Yeah.
I hope I answered your
No,
question.
you did.
What about you?
I would I don't like to be put in that situation. So if that was asked of me, I would have hoped that asking me that you are understanding of what could happen on the employee on an employer front. And I don't like ultimatums either, because you give me an ultimatum, it's like, well, you don't even care. You wouldn't give me. You would just go for where I am and what I'm about. So what I'm about is my son and my daughter and my wife and whatever they got going on. And I'm not going to say that they over my job, but they understand that my job is important for me to do, because that brings home the bacon for everything.
You placed your value in your family.
Yeah.
That is and as any good parent, it's not even just a dad thing.
Yeah.
Any good parent places the value in their family.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean,
and also your family being an awesome family, has to understand too that sometimes you got to do a little bit more of what you got to do because work is demanding.
Yeah,
things get done.
Yeah, so you just gotta make. It just depends. Just make sure that you when you are asked that, just have everything taken. As far as taken into consideration of if you're getting asked that, think of the ramifications of what could happen. So yeah, man, this is a quick episode.
This is a great conversation, man.
It was.
I feel like we could talk at length for at least another 20 minutes.
Yeah. I agree.
Maybe we'll have to do a follow-up, make this a reoccurring theme. Maybe we'll dive a little bit deeper in the certain aspects of work-life balance. But that depends on you, listener. Let us know what you think. Yeah. As mentioned earlier, you know where you can find us. You want to tell them, Big Rich?
Oh, yeah, that's right. You can find us at Dad-namic Pod on all the socials.
That's right.
Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and then you can reach me at M2Mania20.
Word.
That's where I'm gonna be at through Instagram.
And I'm at E Can Talk on all the things except for the tickety tick tock tackety tacks.
X. Oh wait, no, not mine. I think I'm on X. I don't know. We'll see.
You would know because you feel it. No, I'm playing.
Yeah.
Sorry, they don't call it that anymore. They call it Molly.
Oh, okay. Scared me. I thought you was gonna. Yeah.
No, I wasn't talking about X-Lax.
Yeah. Wow,
All right,
X.
we're loopy. It's
Yeah.
late for both of us. We're just
my
being
bad.
silly.
Yeah,
But no,
very silly.
hey, thank y'all for the love and the support. We both have to say it again from the bottom of both of our hearts. This has been a great show to do, and again, there's so much more to come, baby. Stay tuned.
More to come. Let's go.
And quick reminder, Dad Mode will be taking a break beginning of May because Big Rich is moving down here.
Yeah, that's right.
All right.
Give me some time.
That's right. But until
We're
next
gonna get
time,
a lot of good time. Yep.
we love y'all.
Love you. Thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Peace.